The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
It's Gabs FM Power to engage your world. Welcome to the show. And I am very interested in today's conversation because we are talking about the 16 days campaign against gender-based violence. Look, this is a global initiative where it runs from November the 25th to December the 10th. And the whole point of it is to raise awareness as well as inspire action to end violence against women and girls and children. Those are demographic and population is they're in a situation where they can't exactly fend for themselves. And so this is why we have this campaign to raise awareness. Today we get into the conversation and we're able to explore the significance of these 16 days as well as the collective effort that's happening. Being who's doing what to fight the injustices that women and children unfortunately find themselves in. And in studio this afternoon, we're going to be talking to Re Victor Tanke, who's the CDC Priority Population Specialist. And hi, how are you, Victor?
Well, Samantha, thank you for having us. Look, such a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day, and these are very important conversations. So thank you for availing your time to step into the Purple Studio so that we could have this very important conversation. And of course, there's somebody on the line who's unfortunately not in town, but the beauty of technology is we can connect through space and time. We are talking to Melorato Mpusu, who is the CEO of Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program. Hi, Lorato.
Hello, Samantha. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here this afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Now, let's start with you, Re Victor, and in terms of the office that you sit in and the work that you do. Just tell us a little bit about yourself as well as what you do at the embassy.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I'm really pleased to be here talking about my work. As a priority population specialist, I work with the vulnerable and marginalized populations, including adolescent girls and young women.
Yeah.
Key populations, youth, and I specialize in supporting government in responding to gender-based violence.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are starting the conversation looking at the 16 days campaign against gender-based violence. Why is this an important conversation and an important thing to tackle GBV? Why is it important?
Well, this conversation is very timely because today is the eve of the 16 days against GBV. And if you follow the news, GBV is a global pandemic. Yes. It's a serious violation of human rights and life-threatening in most situations. And us at the U.S. Embassy have taken it very seriously to work in this space and support our partners, government, including government, development partners and civil society organizations to come up with programs that adequately address GBV in Botswana.
Okay. Now, we're all aware that, policies are very important and usually for any sort of change to trickle down to the citizens of a country, it has to start at policy level. Let's look at the USG policy on GBV. What is it? What does it look like? And how does it help us address this issue, gender-based violence?
Oh, yes. GBV affects everyone. There's a common myth that is affects women, girls only, but anyone, including men and boys, are affected. So the USG has a global position, a global strategy to prevent and respond to gender-based violence globally. This is like a model law that trickles down to all the countries that are supported by the US government.
Yeah.
And within the mission itself, there are sexual harassment policies zero tolerance for GBV for the mission community and for the people who are working for, which are Botswana. Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now let's look at interventions. What sort of interventions have you made in your office in order to help mo Botswana for us to be able to fight gender-based violence?
There are several opportunities that we have utilized as Mission Botswana through the different state agencies. I'm going to give an umbrella response to what we do.
Okay.
Starting with our work with the Ministry of government. We're working closely with the Ministry of Health
Okay.
to strengthen post-violence care services in public health facilities. That is, this program is about 3 years old, where in every public health facility you enter, there's intimate partner screening, IPV screening, where you are, an individual is asked about any experience of violence so that we can afford them appropriate care. Say, for instance, one goes for HIV testing. We've introduced a system where the screening includes questions around intimate partner violence. And then in the community, working with gender affairs, we are strengthening policy frameworks. We're also working with the Kgosi. Most recently, the embassy collaborated with the Kgosi in Tlokweng, Ramotswa, and Molepolle, capacity building on the legislature that is out there, the Domestic Violence Act, Children's Act, the Penal Code, because these are the same individuals who are first-line responders of violence in their communities. So we are working closely with those structures, the gatekeepers. There's also a social media campaign that we're starting. If you are out there, look out on the embassy page. There's going to be a cartoon series.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Dipopai.
In Setswana and other local dialects, speaking about norms change, gender, and how to relate with each other as men and women.
Okay, I'm interested in campaign Popeye. Is there a specific age group you are targeting? Sorry, now that's where my mind is. Is there a specific age that you're targeting? Why Popeye?
Well, all our interventions are evidence-based.
Okay.
We dug in for data that showed violence is very prevalent between the ages of 18 to 29.
Okay.
So anything that is that young people can relate with is an opportunity for us to collaborate. If you look at the Botswana relationship study of 2018, 37% of women had reported some form of violence or another, whether it's sexual, emotional, physical. As for men, we know that they hardly report. That particular study indicated that 18% of men have experienced some form of violence one way or the other across their lifetimes.
Yes. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. So you guys are trying to find ways to communicate effectively, especially to the group of people that you are targeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Victor. Quick one. According to World Health Organization, approximately 1 in 3 women worldwide have unfortunately experienced either some sort of physical violence or sexual intimate partner violence, or even non-partner violence. These are astounding figures that have come out from the World Health Organization. And this is exactly why this issue issue of gender-based violence, and this 16 days campaign, serves as a way to highlight these alarming numbers and also to try and speak to the situations. These should be numbers of the past. And for those of you who just tuned in, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show. We continue the conversation on the other side of this. We've just been talking to Re Victor Tanke, who's the CDC priority population specialist out at the American Embassy. He's in studio with us, and on the phone on the other side of these, we will be joined by Lorato Mpusu, who is the CEO of Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program. And they also, work in this space of bringing information to issues surrounding gender-based violence. Do look out for that conversation on the other side of this.
Power to engage your world is on 91.0 FM.
It's Gabs FM, Power to Engage Your World. Welcome back to the Stars and Stripes radio show. Beautiful collaboration between the U.S. Embassy in Botswana and Gabs FM. And today we look at the 16 days campaign against gender-based violence, which actually this commemoration begins tomorrow, November the 25th until December 10th. We've already started this conversation, and if you, our listener, would love to be part and parcel of that conversation, do feel free to call us on 395-6962, or you can also send in a WhatsApp on +267 395 6962. Now, Rinze Ribua Le Re Victor Tanke, who is the CDC priority population specialist at the U.S. Embassy. But on the phone line, let's just bring in our next guest to be part of this conversation. This is somebody who is on the ground, who is dealing with issues such as the ones we're talking about today, on the ground on a daily basis. Just like to welcome Lorato Mpusu, who is the CEO of Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program. Dumela Lorato, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Ma. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know you've been listening to the conversations on air and off air. Shocked by the number. You are shocked by the statistics. But before we even get into that, I think it's important for us to know why you do what you do, Lele by Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program. What's your why? What compelled you to get into the type of advocacy, the type of community work that you do?
Well, the Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program is inspired by the aspect of faith. And so faith tells us that we cannot just sit and fold our arms when things are going the way they are.
Yeah.
One of the key things that was shared by Red Tanke, those statistics, Samantha, the main pain there is that we are talking about children being mentioned in those statistics. And so that is why Bocape was formed to respond to the health and social ills of our country. And so because the theme of Bocape is that God cares and we care. And so we are out there to advocate, to educate, and also to support people who are vulnerable and who cannot speak for themselves.
Thank you so much for that. That sounds absolutely amazing. Look, we did mention statistics a bit earlier on that are quite shocking. From your experience in this type of work, what do you think is the reason behind the growing numbers that we see when it comes to issues GBV mo Botswana?
Thank you very much for that question, because that's the whole essence of my project. What we know from psychology is that human behavior is influenced by DNA, but also by the environment. And so we understand that in our country, we are a very closed community as a country. It's embedded within our culture. And so there's a lot of things happening within our households that are teaching our people to become what they are today. And that is one thing that we want to emphasize, that, if we don't change the setup within our families, the way we raise our children, GBV will not go down. I think we need to start it there, just to fine tune the mindset of a young man, for him to understand when someone says no, and for them to interpret it to mean like do more of that. And so we are coming up with this project to say we want to speak to the mind of the child from the time they are born and to the time when they are now faced with a situation where they have to make decisions. That's the essence of this project that I'm going to be talking about today.
Okay. Before you talk about the project, you sound like somebody who's possibly an alumni, the U.S. government. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am.
Which program did you take?
It's called the International Visitors Learning Program. I'm an alumni for 2022.
Oh, the IVP program.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm also a beneficiary of one of the programs. So,
great.
Language through that program. Look, I think you did mention, we'll get into the program and the project that you wanted to speak on, but let's talk about also, let's get into it now. You're speaking of a program and a project that you guys are running. Let's get into that. What is it about?
Well, can I just introduce myself?
Yes, actually, yes.
Yes, I'm called Lorato, and I've been with Bouquet for 19 years now.
19 years?
Okay. So I joined Bouquet because I work in psychology and counseling. That's my field. Okay. And so having seen it all in the room of counseling, I just thought that we might want to, if one person says that I can do a little bit, you can save one life per day. You don't have to actually think of the 37% or so just say one, just starting with the neighbor. Yeah. And so I worked for Bouquet for 19 years. And so last year when IVLP advertised, I applied. And I want to appreciate the U.S. Embassy of Botswana because they supported me. And then when I was awarded, I enrolled. I couldn't go to the U.S. because of COVID-19. Yes. So we did it online. And it was very, very interesting to learn what other countries are doing. Yeah. So after the program, they made an advert to say, what program can you do in your country? And that's how I came up with the GBV. Faith intervention to fight GBV in Botswana. Because what I had realized is that Botswana, almost like 88% of Botswana are people who proclaim to be so dependent on faith. Either they are using traditional doctors or they are using their pastors. But most of the behaviors happening in our community, I hear this in the counseling room. It's because my pastor said this. It's because my ancestors said this. So that is why I said, you know what, maybe let me just come up with a project that is going to equip faith leaders to hopefully give us a positive impact of how we make decisions when we are faced with dilemmas. Because, perpetrators of GBV always give us an excuse. And so the intention was to say, before you can actually commit this offense, do you know that you are always faced with a choice? Even if she has insulted you, even if she has cheated on you, you are still faced with a choice to kill her or not to kill her, or to walk away, or not to beat her or to beat her. And so my issue is that faith leaders have that huge power or authority, it seems like, over the people. Yes. And so if we can have a face of faith leaders who are speaking boldly against GBV, I think one or two men or women out there can change their behavior. And so this project was about training. We have trained 14 pastors who are in Gaborone, Kanye, and Molepololo only. So we're just piloting with those three. And then thereafter, we are hoping that we can share a story to say if maybe every village in Botswana can have a faith leader who is attached to the DC's office, to the police, to the gender affairs department, and also, and the social work offices. Yeah. So that everyone can know that if I am stuck in a relationship, if I hear that this woman is not really listening to me, then I know I can pull in the faith leader to assist me. Because trust me, people have made huge decisions about their lives just because a pastor said this or did not say this. Wow. And so that is why we have called them on board to help us.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Look, I'm going to pose this question to you, Lorato, as well as to you, Revictor, in studio. I think for any program that has to be run, I think Batho come up with any sort of program to change communities, you have to also be thinking, how are we going to measure impact? So I'm interested to find out, how are you going to know that at least something somewhere, Lorato, and Revictor, after Lorato Arab?
One thing that the reason why I'm interested in faith is because faith can kill or save you. And so one of the change facts for me is when pastors begin to change their language. There are so many things that are said by faith leaders which are which are actually influencing GBV in Botswana. If a faith leader is going to tell you that, you know what, a woman is under a man and you submit under him. And so the moment we promote that kind of a language, that's how we begin to that's how we see women in a very toxic relationship for a long time, just because you have been told to submit. So we want to see faith leaders changing their language to say, you submit to a man in love, you don't submit to abuse. Okay, and then we also hear faith leaders saying that, you know what, you have to be able to be strong. Hard times require you to be strong, and that is why women continue to stay in toxic relationships until they die. People need to be able to identify GBV isimolola, and for you to know that this is not a love relationship. You can't even stay a week within a relationship where you are being beaten or insulted or spit on. But you see people, even young girls from the University of Botswana, having learned this relationship. And so until one and so that's what we want to say. We want to hear about I know GBV and I should not stand for it. You don't even teach someone to cope, to survive under GBV.
Yeah.
And then we also hear faith leaders, but divorce is not an option. Divorce is sin. If you don't want to go to hell, don't divorce. But then people stay in those toxic relationships until a point where they lose their minds or they lose their lives. And so we want a measuring would be where faith leaders are speaking the aspect of, you know what, a woman should respect, but men should love, protect, he should care, he should listen, he should stop when someone says no. That's the measuring stick for me. When we begin to, and then we change the faith or the belief that people have about romantic relationships in our community.
Wow, definitely. Revicta, let me bring you back into this conversation. You did mention some of the programs that your office is running. You also mentioned one that's starting as well, campaign it's in the forefront of my mind. In terms of the programming and programs that your office is running, in order to bring awareness to issues of gender-based violence, how are you taking stock? How are you measuring that we're moving in the right direction?
Oh yes, thanks for that, Lorato. You are one of those champions on GBV. Continue doing the good work.
Thank you.
Yes. In terms of measurement, we are looking at a multi-sectoral approach to GBV. We're looking at law enforcement, health, and education. Under education, there are programs that are targeting learners, like the HIV and violence prevention for the 10 to 19-year-olds. There are specific tools that we use to ensure that the learners complete those particular sessions.
And speaking their language.
Language,
okay.
Yes. And then when it comes to the health sector, we're supporting providers, your nurses, doctors, to provide critical post-violence care services after the effect for survivors, so that they have adequate skills to deal with survivors of violence, refer them to appropriate services, would it be social, psychological, or even the legal fraternities. And within these different frameworks, there are tools that we use to measure the work that's been done. Even with law enforcement, though we are yet to strengthen that collaboration, Botswana Police has started a GBV section, a toll-free number that whether you're experiencing violence in any setting, you can call that number. I think they do have a way of measuring impact. However, there are gaps in our programming on GBV as a nation. We have this Vision 2036 of no gender-based violence in Botswana. But there are spaces, which I mentioned earlier, that around shelters, safe spaces for victims of GBV are quite limited. To the best of my recollection, there are about 4 centers where if you are experiencing violence, you could be offered temporary shelter throughout Botswana. and compared to the 21,000 cases that were reported,
the statistics.
There is no tie there, correlation. So it means whether it's the private sector, government, we all have to come together to close the gaps in our response to GBV.
Definitely. Let me just get this call. I hope you'll be able to hear in on it, Lorato. Gabs FM, you're live on air.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Erra, you are live on air. Who are we speaking to, as well as the comment that you have?
You're speaking to Bears.
Erra.
Yes. I'm listening to the wrong radio station actually. Eh? This is Gabs FM, right?
Yes, it's Gabs FM.
Okay, well, so what's the topic about today?
We're talking to the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which starts tomorrow.
Okay.
Have you been listening?
No, I haven't actually. I'm listening to a different radio station.
Okay, thank you for calling. Thank you for at least checking on us. Have a great day.
Same to you. Thank you.
Gabs FM, you're live on air.
Hello, Samantha.
Dumela, how are you?
Emma, ke reditse ke batsadi ho.
Erra.
Me ana ke tibogela e buang ke nna Lorato.
Erra.
Ya no ga ke tsore o rotloetsa tlhalo kana o rotloetsa gore o ska sa ditiwa. Me kana ba ebile one tlhamaletse ya re. Lona banna ba tamba sa di ba lona. Basadi lona inele mo banneng ba lona. Ko lona mo Lorato.
Ka Lorato.
Me gape ebile khanya ya tlhalo tota ga sore ke tshwantse go nna tsele ile mo tlhotlho hela for anybody maybe le ga se gore ba ebile e kganela tlhalo mme hela ke tsa gore le mo botshelong ba rona hela ha ile gore ona le mabaka a gore o ka tlhala ba mo go ba bang ba batsadi a e ka nna batsadi a ka nna masika a ka nna go kerekeng ba le ka go thusa kgang gore kganya lerato ya gore monna bo ile mo lerato la go rata monna gagwe a ska go gontsha monna gagwe e nne one tsela go godimo ya no la ga ke tse gore ha re logana thata mme ke batla gore a emphasize kganya gore Bible e rotloetsa lorato gore monna a rate mosadi wa gagwe ke a leboga.
Thank you so much. Let's just get one more caller. Lorato a ke ro reditse.
Emma ke a
Gabs FM, you're live on air.
Hello Samantha.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Karo Khakalanyana, please try and find a better location or maybe ba phone closer. Okay. Ra hutla yano.
Ke a utlwa la.
Erra.
O bua le Moruteli Tswiti.
Erra.
Emma. Na khantsa me di dintsi mme ke tla ngatha hela.
Erra.
Gantsi ga ke it happens ga ke ga kolla banyalani. Ke nna ke bua ka kganya gore gantsi banyalani ba na le go tima ditoro tsa ba bangwe gore ga o nyala motho o ka re go nna le go laola but nna ke dumela gore lenyalo gago ga o laole motho if you are a leader you are a leader maybe le ga motho ana le ditoro ga o timi ditoro tsa gagwe. I'll tell you something. Abuse ina le design tsa yone. And design tsa yone gantsi di tla dile so creepy. In a way le gore batho ga ba di tlhaloganye. Motho ga go nyala mosadi for example, aba motlogedisa tiro, a motlogedisa professions and all that. Aba heletsa motlhokomela. Wena o le mosadi o tsa gore nya ke Lorato kante ha o itse. This person is trying to now govern you to a point that you will end up depending on them. And motho ga go abuse. Ke lemogile gore bomme ba le bantsi ba ile gore ra ba gakolla. Ba ba mo abusing. We tell gore wa abuse ke motho o mo tlhokomela. Ha kanya go tswa. A ba kanya le phalish, a kanya le bana gore go re gate bana ba go jang. Because this person has developed a net le batho botlhe family ditsala so that at the end of the day you have absolutely
isolation
to confide in, and at the end of the day motho a modimo le ha re bua lene go na le lentswe le lengwe hela mo go ene lentswe la motho o mo abusang mo eleng gore le rona go thata re le baruti gore o bo tsena go no go motho a sa dule mo sethong because gape go na le kgang ya setho batho re ba kreste mme re batho gape a re ska ra tlogela setho ra tshela spiritually hela. We are spiritual beings but here on earth. So ne ke tlhaloso hela ho, that's why ne ke shina le dio tse dintsi mme hela ne ke ngathe hela go le kalo gore a re lemogeng dio tse ko peong pele ga peo e jwalwa e be heletsa nna segwa re were palwa ke go ntsha segwa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Emma
Lorato, ke tsa gore o readitse the comments. I don't know if you'd like to respond to the two callers who were part of the conversation.
Emma, thank you very much for those questions and comments. Definitely, I cannot.
Hello. Okay. Ra go utla mme ka re gona le modumonyana in your background.
Some male voice.
Is it not from your side?
No.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay. It's like a speech. Okay. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Definitely, I cannot come here and stand and say basadi baska basadmita. What I promote is that in a relationship, Lerato requires that people must submit to one another, not only a woman. And also, people have to love. Go re lenyalo o le lapa le tshwantse go thaelwa mo loratong e se mo go laoleng. Se moruti le thuta se buang is exactly what I'm referring to. Se diragala in the counseling room, and that thing happens a lot. Perpetrators know how to isolate ngwana wa batho mo eleng gore gore she will be so stuck. And I think it's the role of the pastor there to lead before ngwana yo. Kana sometimes some of them don't get killed. Samantha. But more taloganyo, they are actually really dead. Someone can't even do anything anymore for the rest of their life. And 50 something, they have lived this kind of a life for most part of their life.
Yeah.
So you have robbed someone botshelo. And so I think faith leaders can help us with education. And I'm not going to say or encourage any woman. I'm also a married woman, but I will not encourage a woman to abuse. Abuse is abuse. And the reason why some people don't get it, it's because we have made it a norm. Because you cannot change the other person. That's one thing you must know. You are trapping yourself. If someone is abusing you, even before has no guarantee or passport they are going to change for the better. Sometimes they can even get worse because they can even tell you, I have actually paid for you, abuser. And then how just to stay there. And you are damaging yourself. Some people are not even talking about it, Samantha. They are now quiet about it. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for faith leaders to chip in there. This man, wicked. If I don't advise they're going to kill them. Not only kill them physically, but emotionally, socially, and everything about their lives.
Okay, let's just take the last caller before we wrap up. We're fast running out of time. Gabs FM, you're live on air. Hello? Gabs FM, you're live on air? Erra.
wa modimo o go bontsha gore bokamoso ja gago ke wena o le monna
erra
o ready
erra
ye gona le bangwe ba ba bua jaanong ganya me go gore ga o le monna o bo kopana le motho tshwati o tshwantse o mo ipolele botshelo ja gago nna ke dile jalo mo mosading wa me yo ba mmoleleng ka jone bongaka je ja ba ruti bone ba seng ba isa ba sadi nna ke nyetse mosadi o ke mmolela ibile ba mmolela ka kereke ya gago ke be ke mmolela le moruti wa gago ka na kereka ka teng go re o ntshitswe tsa mme re ne ra hella re tshwaragane ile ka mowa modimo jaanong ga o mo ntsha mo tiro wa bo lebeletse gore wena wa go mo tlisa mo tirong e le gore le ene a e tsweledise o tshwanetse a re tshedibana go tswa kwa Afrika Borwa e le nna ke ntse madi gore a dire jalo e tle go tswara ga se mau ko morago bone batho bone ba sena go bona gore o sokola batho ba university ba tlile ha ile ene o rera bo ba tla ka bongaka bone ba kereke ya gagwe bone ba ruti ba mohuta ono ba ba reng ga ba toga ba re ba direla batho dithabelo ba direla diphaso bone ba e le gore yana ba tsena mo go ene ba re ditso mosadi ya mabahela a la thakala ke tsela a ba go tsena mo dinyakeng teng tsa batho bone ba ruti ba mohuta ono mosadi ga ile gore ke wa semowa sa modimo ga e tobe ke batho yana mosadi wa mona ra ile sega la go tsenya jwa bona lekwa a ba re ke mo ba dika go rapela ke a motshwenya mosadi wa maba go tlhokagala ka tsela e senyone le ka gore yalo o gogole ke metsi ona mo nyasane le ba di patelang ba mo pataganetse le bone ba re ba mo tsa o ba se ba bonnete ba.
Thank you so much. Re santse go hetsa khanyeri bankang. Thank you. Lorato, we are fast running out of time. Last words from you, and then last words from you, Victor.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to appreciate GAPS FM and also the U.S. Embassy. For me to be able to do this with the faith leaders, it's because of their support. And I appreciate every opportunity. I just came from an event where the minister was launching. So for Botswana, 16 days campaign has started. Yes. So let us get together and rekhane GBV in our households. Let us report and shame anyone who is perpetrating another person. So let's just shame it and rise up together, because the theme is united. So everyone, wherever you are, just know that you can play a role and bring down this monster, because this is our beloved country. We cannot afford to be number one in rape. We have to bring that down.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And from you, Victor.
Thank you, Samantha. For me, it's a call to action for all Botswana. We have a vision in front of us, Vision 2036. Yeah. That's calling for a nation that's free of GBV. Wherever you are, wherever you are stationed, whatever you can do, let's contribute to ending GBV. Lastly, peace and blessings to all the victims and survivors of GBV. Thank you. Definitely
a great way to end the show as we step into commemorating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Let's unite. Let's all do our part to make sure that these numbers and figures that we've been speaking about are a thing of the past. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
The Stars and Stripes show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.